Hello, everybody, and welcome to the OG Technically Trek episode 104. I am your host, Dave Prime. Over there is Captain Katie, our probably equally pissed off ditzy witch. How are you doing this evening, my dear?
One, alive.
That's good.
Two, pissed off.
That's not so
Three,
good.
considering cursing Paramount. Four, quite well and happy because I don't need an operation.
Yay.
Yeah,
Small
so
victories.
yeah, and also I've got some new medication for my migraine as well, and it's specifically designed for migraine. Um, so I've got very big hopes on this medication. So hopefully you'll see me a lot brighter over the next few months.
Well, I might see Upside Down a few times. We already had Upside Down once backstage, so. But this is going to be a doozy of an episode. We were going to talk about second chances tonight from season 7 from Next Generation or season 6. I didn't even think of what season it was in. It's one of the later episodes of the series. But yeah, saying earlier this week, Paramount said, "Screw you, Star Trek fans. We're canceling Starfleet Academy." They got season 2 in the can. What the heck? But we'll talk more about that. I'm jumping the gun already a little bit. But that's one thing that makes this podcast unique from other Star Trek podcasts is that we encourage live participation from the viewers, not just in the YouTube chat, but on camera as well. So at Dave Prime 1701, down in the YouTube description, there is a link for StreamYard that gives you an opportunity to hop on camera, hop on microphone if you're a little camera shy. Love to get your feedback on this, both positive and negative, because I've actually gotten both sides on my socials about this. There's like, oh, good riddance. I was like, it's in the can. Give it a chance. We got season 2 in the can. Let's make final judgment after season 2. That's my main stake in all this is because there's reasons I don't want to go into everything within the first 5 minutes of the show. But speaking of shows, is a Legacy Zach. He hosts the Legacy Right on YouTube as well. He wasn't able to do his regular show on Wednesday evenings because of work commitments. Got to work for the man. So he says, yeah, be sure to mention my show because we are simulcasting on the Legacy Right tonight. So thank you, one and all that's watching from there. If you, like I said, if you want to partake in this conversation, you can do it through the chat. You can do it on camera if you want to. It's all good. But yeah, there's just a lot to dish out about because, granted, I was one of those people early on in the series. I was cautious about this. I wasn't sure where this show was going, but I stuck through with it, and it paid off at the final episode, and they got bigger stakes in store for season 2. Now, are we going to get that opportunity? If we don't get that opportunity, I hate to break it to you, Katie, but they did film the second season ending with a cliffhanger. Are they going to do a discovery, and are they going to do like some sort of 10-15 minute addendum to wrap things up, or are they going to just reshoot that episode? There's just so many unanswered questions. There's just a lot of hate from the Star Trek community, but they're just thinking, oh, it sucks. Saying, look at how the season 1 ended for Next Generation. It was kind of like episode. I mean, it had the return of the Romulans, but the main gist was these 3 individuals from the 20th century that were unfrozen from a derelict vessel that somehow got out of Earth's orbit, was floating away off into space somewhere. Season 1 of Deep Space Nine, In the Hands of the Prophets, it was an okay episode. Zane, I can't remember the name of the episode off the top of my head, but what they ended for the first season of Voyager. That was a sucky episode to end the season. They were going to end the season with the 37s, which was the second season premiere. I think that would have been a much better first season finale episode.
I
Even
can't
by the
remember
start,
what the season finale of season 1 of Voyager was.
oh, let's see here.
Because I remember the 37s.
Yeah, it was the cheese episode.
Oh right, yeah.
Get the learning curve. It's where Tuvok was like tried to whip up a bunch of Maquis stragglers into shape and whatnot, but then that get the cheese to sick bay, saying Neelix trying to make homemade cheese for pizzas and stuff. That was kind of a episode to end the season with. And saying so, but if any of those shows got at the end of the first season, we wouldn't even be here probably having these conversations today.
Well, no, but also, I mean, I mentioned this on our Discord, but Paramount are starting to follow in the footsteps of Netflix for cancellations of things after the first or second season. And, I don't understand, because especially in season 1, a show is only just finding its footing. And in season 2, that's more of a transition. You need a season 3 to basically determine the show. And seeing how that goes and how that ends. Because I mean, there's so many shows. I mean, there was a show that Paramount did. It was based on a book, but they were supposed to be doing a season 2. It's called The Killing Kind, and it was like a psychological thriller. It's absolutely brilliant. There's only, I think, 6 to 8 episodes, but it's really, really good. It's very intriguing. And there's no season 2 of that. Don't get me wrong. It didn't end on a cliffhanger or anything. It was pretty well wrapped up, but they were supposed to be releasing a season 2. But they never did. And there's been other shows as well I haven't watched. But I've heard about other shows that have only got like 1 or 2 seasons and then they've been cancelled, just like on Netflix. And in all honesty, I don't just blame Paramount for this. And you know me, I do not mince my words. And this is not being said as an offence to anyone, but it is the only way my strange witchy British brain can compute this. I blame all the dickheads who call themselves fans.
Thank you.
Because there's 2 types of fan base within a fandom. There is the traditionalist who will be loyal to a fault of the original material, whether that original material stems from a book or a series or a movie. And anything that comes after that, or that veers off that original track in any way, shape, or form, they will then begrudgingly watch other things in that franchise. And they will go into it already disappointed. They will go into it looking for things to pick at. And especially if it's like books to series or books to movies, they're like, oh, well, that didn't happen in the book. That's not how that happened. And it spoils the experience because people go into it with expectations. And people go into it with an idea already in their head. And then when they don't get that, they kick off and they pitch a hissy fit about it. Then there's the other type of viewer, and that is, how can I put this? The lazy viewer. And when I say lazy viewer, I mean they want every little detail put out in front of them for an easy watch. They don't like to, what's the word? They don't like to have to make, like, work things out for themselves. And because of that, they're very quick to judge. And so they go into it with, yeah, I know, I'm getting to that. But they will go into it expecting everything to be laid out right down to the dots on the I's and the crosses on the T's. And when there's these big gaps, like what's been in Academy of like the odd couple of months, they're just like, whoa, hold on a minute, what's happened here? What's happened here? Now, even though we've said that, we're able to work things out because we're not lazy viewers, but there are some out there who are lazy viewers and they're just like, this does not make sense. How have they gone from this to this in like over the course of one episode?
Yeah, Gesundheit, Jim. This GTSY, good to see you. I thought that was a sneeze at first.
But concentration is a big thing nowadays. There is a very big lack of concentration. And so many people don't watch things. They will have them on and they will glance at the screen. They will vaguely follow a storyline, but they will not watch. Now, all right, fair dues. I watch and read things a little deeper than the average person. And, you know, that's absolutely acceptable. It's also acceptable if you just have something on in the background and you're not watching it intently. That's absolutely okay. But if you're not going to watch something and give it your undivided attention so you don't miss things, then that's on you, not the show. Granted, certain series of Star Trek aren't for everyone. I get that. I mean, it took me 3 months to get through season 1 of Discovery. Now that was bad, and I'm never going there again. I've done a second watch of it, and yeah, it wasn't as tedious the second time round because I understood what was happening and all that jazz. But even still, I'll never watch season 1 of Discovery again.
I honestly, I need to give it a rewatch. I haven't watched it since I did the first blast through it.
But the rest of it, I love it. I mean, season 2 is basically the prequel for Strange New Worlds, and then we go to the future and everything's great. But
mostly,
well, yeah, but I mean, Jim, I wasn't calling you a dickhead. I'm just like, there's 2 main categories, and that's what. And then there is the small portion like yourself who just doesn't like it. That is absolutely okay if you don't like it. But if you don't like it, one thing that I never do, if I don't like, now, all right, I know that I give TOS a lot of shit, but I explain why I give it a lot of shit. But in the same breath, I have deep respect for it. And I always reiterate that. I have deep respect for TOS. I may not like it. I may think it is contradictory. Overacting, especially by William Shatner, and certain pieces of information contradict one another. They're the reasons I don't like it. The premise, absolutely brilliant, poorly executed. Deep respect. Deep respect. I do not go online and start shitting all over TOS. Yes, I will make my opinion known, but in the same breath, I will always put the stamp on that of how much I respect it. What people are doing with Academy is the same as what they did, even worse, in fact, than what they did with Section 31. And that was shit all over. The only reason why people watched it, even after hearing how bad it was, is because Michelle Yeoh was in it. And, you know, it does my head in when people go online. Thank you, Jim. And apologies if I didn't make myself clear straight away. But, you know, yeah, it's one thing to say, Section 31 is worse than Academy is worse than Section 31. Yeah, that's everybody's opinion. Personally, I love Section 31.
It was okay as a standalone thing, but
the thing is, though, people are going online saying, oh, it needs to be cancelled, this needs to happen, oh, it's so woke. Even though Star Trek already is, people, it has been since the 60s.
And it did give like the biggest infusion of LGBT characters of any previous Star Trek series. And see, that kind of goes into what one of my biggest gripes is the fact that it's only 10 episodes. You can only do so much with 10 episodes. You got people stepping on each other's toes. They're trying to cram so much into such a little time frame.
Yeah.
Where it can suffer. Like you're saying, first season of Discovery, I was thinking about 14, 16 episodes. I mean, had we had those few extra episodes for Academy, I think they could have had a little more breathing room, a little more time to stretch things. But it also had some other weird stuff like Darren Barf and Glitter. That was a little peculiar for his species.
Now that I loved, because that is just like, you know, that was just brilliant.
And we got Travis chomping at the bit right now, so I'm going to bring him into the chat. That leaves 7 other slots available for people to come on camera on audio. So click that link below if you want to be a part of this. Otherwise, just chat away and say, I know, Phil might pop in later. He's in the chat in the background. He can't always pop in right away.
Hi, Travis, darling. My Star Trek love.
He's wearing a Confederation badge too. What the frick, dude?
Yes. Real quick before I we get into everything else, I'm got some really interesting entertainment pop culture things and stuff. Sorry, Katie, spoiler. Not spoiler, but this Sunday was William Shatner's 95th birthday. So yes, I just want to say, wow, he's 95 to William Shatner and everything else. You know, kudos to him for he even still making appearances and stuff. Also, too. I just learned his birthday was last month, and I think it was on the 23rd or the 20, not really sure, but if y'all remember Deep Space Nine, McGarrick had a father. His name was Inabran Tane. The guy who played him was Paul. His real name is Paul Brown, I believe, but he went by stage name Paul Dooley. Paul Dooley is 98 years old. He's still living today. And he's still acting. He just actually sent 2 gentlemen who has the channel called Target Audience. They doing a whole Star Trek watch and stuff like that. They're in season 1 of Voyager, they're in season 3 of, and they're getting close to the end the end of season 3 of Deep Space Nine, and the first in the season 1 of Voyager and stuff. But he sent them a video, just a personal video, saying hey and stuff and everything. I thought it was like he said that he is still acting at the age of 98. I just want to throw that out there and stuff and everything to all the Star Trek fan and everything else. Now, as what you said today about what's going on and stuff and everything, I want to give a intake about from a different perspective on why this show was canceled. And from what I heard from the outlets and trade, this is what it was. The decision was made weeks ago. It wasn't just random stuff like it. It was made weeks ago. One of the things that, from what I understand, is there was a lack of viewers and the ratings were poor. That's what trades are saying. That some of the insiders are saying that reason why that they cancel academies and stuff and everything is because it lacked the thunder to bring in more subscriber to Paramount and stuff. And right now, Paramount, I don't know if anybody remember Paramount Skydance is right now just won the bidding war to purchase Warner Brothers Discovery. So right now they're taking all of their energy and stuff focused on this merger that may or may not happen because it's an antitrust thing. A lot of people, in myself, I'm kind of hoping that Warner Brothers do not get sold to them. That's just my personal opinion. But right now, uh, the head person, I should say, is David Ellison. David Ellison is the head and stuff and everything. He's a big movie fan and stuff, and he's he's been trying to do a lot of, like, I guess, juggling and stuff. And apparently, from what the trades and outlets have said, that he was not pleased with you know what he has seen in the past weeks with you know Star Trek fans and stuff. We hope you'll be able to join us, Phil. Thank you.
Shame,
Absolutely.
shame, shame. He's like 10 minutes behind. What the heck? We've been on for 25 minutes.
um, the thing about right now is money and a lot of resources that are going. I sent you guys a video of Trek culture with Sean Ferrick and some people like us. They're talking and stuff, and they did a really good. Their dialogue was real good. I recommend you guys go and check out the most recent discussion that Sean Ferrick now had on Trek culture and stuff and everything. They did a really well spoken logical insight of the status of Star Trek and everything else. They gave some really good, you know, Katie pointed out about the whole thing, but they was talking more on the line of you know the financial means, the budget stuff with viewers, things that we can talk about, like what they say that is more modern Star Trek had become more DEI, and now with the new bosses and stuff and everything, especially at Paramount and stuff, they kind of want to dial back the DEI kind of stuff and everything. That's just hearing her say about whether or not they're doing that and stuff. But I can understand, because right now we got Stephen Colbert, who got his show canceled last year, and it'd be a couple of months before he goes off the air, and they say it's financial means and stuff and everything, which a lot of us know is like, no, it's political and stuff and everything. There's some political meaning
Absolutely.
behind it because there's other things that are going on and everything. But the one of the things you got to take into with anybody who's viewing, who is watching this and stuff, is you know uh it uh they really did not. And I know Katie probably gonna you get upset about this and stuff, but it did not. This particular series did not receive wellly with people. It underperformed their expectation, and they was hoping that it did something, but at the current moment, there's not going to be, after Strange New Worlds. There's I heard that there's going to be a movie. They're going to focus on movies instead of like TV series. They're going to focus on movies. Things are at a pause when it comes to movies and stuff. They want to kind of, from what I understand from some trades and outlets, have said that they want to kind of get back to, you know, the root of what Star Trek meant or means and stuff and everything, the true origin, the true nature of Star Trek and stuff. Those are some of the things that have been said out there. I know, Katie. I know.
Yeah,
These are these are the things that I'm just reporting on to our viewers and stuff and everything. So you take into account that it underperformed with and more people with subscribing within the subscriber base and stuff. people, and I know, yeah, people crapped on it. It wasn't, widely, accepted among a lot of Star Trek fans and stuff. They made a decision, and this is what said that they made a decision. Actually, probably, I think in week 3 or week 4 when it debuted, something like that. They only waited until after the season finale was performed, stuff like that, when they just that they were going to cancel and stuff. Yes. um Coachman, he answers to David Ellison, and David Ellison has the fact that he's the CE, he's the big guy and everything else and stuff. So we got to take those into account and everything else and stuff. There is a lot of, hang on one more, okay. There is a lot of uh people saying, well, you blame it on the fans. Fans, like Sean Ferrick now said, fans didn't have so much of a big hand in it. They did, but not a bigger hand as a lot of people think. It comes down to um the financial means, getting people to like it, to get new subscribers, just a lot of things that seem like, oh, it has, and this is what the official thing, it has nothing to do with wokeness or DEI and stuff. It just wasn't received well. It wasn't received, you know, in a positive, means and stuff and everything else. So what they're doing, they're doing a course correction. From what I understand, they're doing a course correction when it comes to, because right now there's no Star Trek series coming about in the not so far distant future. Because right now, all of their intention is on this merger that may or may not happen. Yes, yeah, right. It may or may not happen. So right now they're focusing, and right now they don't want any kind of, you know, um, budgetary, whatever monies they're going to spend, like on for future for Star Trek and everything. They want to kind of clamp that down because they want money. They need to save. They need to allocate money to other things. This is just me saying. Yeah, I don't know how the business financial means stuff like that, but it all goes down to the whole business part and everything else. It has nothing really to do with, as they say, wokeness or DEI and stuff and everything. It's just a financial um lackluster of bringing in more subscribers to the uh to Paramount Plus. But I went on for long enough, everybody. Katie, you can have the floor.
Do me a favor, Travis.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
In a few short sentences, straight to the point, bullet points if you wish, tell me what Star Trek is.
What Star Trek is?
Yeah.
The
core of it. The core of it. The womb of Star Trek.
The crux.
Just a simple showing that humans can have a better outlook in the future for ourselves than what we are currently in the state that we're in now. That it shows that we can, despite our darkest hours, that we can rise above, some of the worst things that has come in our history and stuff. Plain and simple, Gene Roddenberry basically hoped for a better, betterment of humanity, I guess you could say.
And also adding to that, I think it's safe to say that Gene Roddenberry's vision was inclusion, no prejudice, diversity, and so many people quote infinite diversity in infinite combinations. Yes, but the thing is, sometimes things don't make money straight away. And this is my whole problem. Yes, I understand the business side of it. Yes, the promise of an enlightened future. Yes. Also,
Yes, yeah, absolutely, Jim.
but
Absolutely.
also the
Hey,
amount
Dennis, how are
of
you?
people. Oh, hi Dennis. I actually didn't see you there, my sweet. But yeah, infinite diversity and infinite combinations. Yeah, that is true. However, it is clear that the Vulcans themselves do not believe in that, even though it is their saying. It is their mantra, their logic, because Spock is the embodiment of that, and they have so many issues with him. So, all of those points that we have just mentioned, Academy has them all. Academy has them all. And someone, I actually don't know if it was Jim or if it was Dennis, because I didn't realize Dennis was there. I was just reading the comments themselves. But somebody said that Academy is more like a soap opera. And I have replied the exact same as what I've replied to so many other people. Star Trek, right from the 60s, has always been a bit of a soap opera. But because it's been a slightly older generation, like fully grown adults, they're captains, like mid-30s to late 40s, it wasn't seen as that. And because it's all futuristic and there was aliens and it was all missed, and it's been missed for so long. But the more Star Trek has evolved over the years, even right through the Berman era and then to Discovery, the ages of the characters, I don't know if you've noticed, but have slowly declined.
For the most part.
The characters, yeah, a lot of them have been a lot younger. And that is when people, I have noticed, it could be a subconscious thing, but exactly, no patience. But what I've noticed is that, I mean, all right, fair enough. The series finale of Enterprise was just so wrong. I don't watch that. Because it's stupid. It's stupid. But it's always had a soap opera quality. There's been. I mean, if you watch a soap opera, it's very much it's set out to be real life, but there's always drama. There's always some form of conflict between people. There's murder. There's attacks. There's all these things, explosions, crashes, things like that. Those basic storylines, without going into detail, those basic storylines in soap operas, like in Dallas, like who shot what's his name?
JR.
Yeah, JR. I thought I was wrong. That's why I didn't say it. There's things like that in Star Trek. There's mystery like that. There's cliffhangers. But people don't see it as a soap opera because it's been an older generation. It's been in space with lasers and phasers and photon torpedoes, aliens that look really weird. And then, the cute little baby gone hatchlings. Sorry. Got carried away there. And the moopsies. Sorry. I digress. But, all of these things. So it's never been noticed. I've noticed it right from the off. And I can't stand soap operas, but it's very dulled down in Star Trek for the most part. But as the series have gone on, the ages of the characters, the characters have got younger, and there's been younger ones added more into the mix, and now the roles have been completely reversed. There's more youngsters in Academy than older adults. And I believe, and you know, if you see the decline in the Star Trek fan base, and like when people started having issue, it started mainly with Discovery because of the ages of the characters. There was a lot of younger ones, and they were taking over. And you know, so many people saying, "Oh, Berman's too young to be a captain," and all this lot, and I'm just like, "Screw you," because it doesn't matter to some degree. And you know, then everyone's
Yes.
been going on, and
That,
yes,
that, 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 that- that's that's one of the biggest things right now that I have kind of heard about, like the within the last 20 years and stuff about like Hollywood and stuff and everything. It's like, you know, these upcoming new writers, you know, have, you know, they lack any, you know, they lack any inspiration to grasp, you know, to say like, you know, what can we do? You know, how can we write? How can we, you know, create a script, you know, or a pilot or something that, you know, that seems that is not going to be funky. That's gonna make people feel like, you know, we bring a show stuff like that. It's like, you know, they're pulling out ideas and stuff and everything. And it's like, you know, there's a lot of like, you know, they saying Hollywood is kind of like in a standstill when it comes to they don't want to reboot this, they want to remake this. Like just recently, the Buffy, they try to bring back Buffy, but apparently the Buffy thing, the script was horrible. You know, on the John Campea show, there was a guy named Robert Meyer Burnett, and Robert Meyer Burnett said he read the script. And he said it was just a terrible. The reason why they canceled it because he said the script was horrible. He said it was just a terrible. There's other, you know, stuff like that, but he's saying, you know, that it was terrible stuff. Like, you know, they lost their creative muse. Hollywood kind of had lost their creative muse in a sense with having, you know, a new age of writers coming in and stuff. And, you know, it seemed like, you know, they haven't grasped the understanding of writing and everything, you know. And right now, like they said too, like, okay, I was watching Sean Fair's Trek Culture, and he was talking to two of his friends, and they was talking about like, you know, a lot of people like myself and everything, but you know, we came up through the age where there was TNG, DS9, and Voyager. They all overlapped from each other for almost what, from 1987 to 2000.
2001.
And we had the and they focused in on these in that time frame in the 24th century and stuff. After Voyager, you know, we got Enterprise. They took a step back and they were like, you know, let's do a prequel and stuff and everything. But after 2005, you know, they even said, you know, and there are people who said the same thing. I remember Lou, he was on our a couple of months ago, when he was on our channel, he took and said there was a missed opportunity for, you know, Paramount to do something with what they had, you know, the from what Star Trek, you know, and stuff from like, you know, what they had and everything else. Fast forward to 2009, we got J.J. Abrams and stuff and everything. People were like, you know, everybody thought Star Trek franchise was dead and stuff. So there's a lot of like, you know, things of like, you know, what has happened. Hey, Phil, welcome, welcome.
Hello, hello.
A lot of things that has happened in the last 20 some years when it comes to the whole Star Trek. Uh, the fans are one thing, stuff like that. There are gonna be some loyal, you know, devout fans and stuff and everything else. But there is room, like myself, I may have had some harsh judgment about the Academy and stuff like that. I never said I wanted the show to be canceled. Stuff. I suspected as much because I have heard whispers through the trades and outlet, but I never said it to any of you guys or anything out out loud and everything else. But I have heard, you know, for the past few weeks that it most likely is going to get canceled and stuff before from the things that I have said earlier because of, you know, a lot of you know, a lot of factors that went into bringing in hardly any new subscribers, poor ratings, people literally, as you know, Katie said, you know, they talk to you know, about the show and stuff, but you know, in one of the things too that people say that really there's not been a consensus with the fans is the one consensus that's been with the fans was, yeah, Star Trek Picard and Lower Decks. They have been they became one of the most positive kind of most modern Star Trek series that came out, especially Picard season 3. Season 1 and 2
Absolutely.
kind of left a bitter taste in some people's mouth of Picard, but season 3 it really brought home to a lot of like nostalgia and as some people say memories and stuff and everything with Star Trek and everything. But Lower Decks was fun. It had its thing. Prodigy, I never got into Prodigy. I can't speak about Prodigy. Dave probably can and stuff and everything.
Same.
But there was a lot of like, yeah, a lot of people didn't, yes, y'all mentioned it earlier on the top of the hour about like, Discovery and stuff like that and everything. But the one of the consensus thing is there's been a missed opportunity for, you know, Paramount to, really, develop a Star Trek show that, the general audience will, have a somewhat, not a negative reaction, but just be like, okay, like we put like there are people who hated on Star Trek Next Generation when it came out. Yes, I remember I seen Robert Picardo, he tweeted about it stuff and everything else, but over time fans grew to like Star Trek Next Generation and stuff. Deep Space Nine, it was like the same thing. It was like stuff. When Star Trek Voyager came on, woman captain. Oh goodness, I can't believe they're gonna do this. It took time and stuff and everything else. But it was one of those things where you know, at that time, the networks and I guess the studio had time to develop the characters, develop the show, develop a consensus for the audience to have, a greater understanding of what they want to tell, the stories and stuff and everything. And just recently, streaming is a different type of monster. It is not
And
network
it's here
TV.
to stay.
Exactly. It's totally different and stuff and everything. The thing about streaming and stuff is they want to bring in if they're gonna have a show, they want to bring in subscribers. And if a show is not bringing in subscribers, Katie mentioned it too earlier about how Netflix drops things. They drop things after 1 or 2 seasons, stuff like that. It's just not winning over with the fan or their audiences. If they're not getting enough viewers and stuff. Let's
You
just
see,
say, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just want to mention one thing. I did put it in the comments, and that is it's not just the writers, because all right, fair enough, that the writers do a lot of work to create the script. However, between them and the producers, they don't leave enough room for the actors to
Breathe.
breathe, to explore their characters and maybe
28
add
episodes
a
is
little
gone.
bit, yeah. I mean, in like, for example, Iron Man. I know that's Marvel, but it's the first thing that came to my head. Iron Man and the MCU. A lot of that script ended up being thrown out because the actors were allowed to explore and they were allowed to really delve into their characters. And sometimes they would completely forget their lines and put their own in. And they were just like, do you know what? Even though we wrote the script, that's actually better and it works. And even like what's usually like in the gag reel at the end, like mistakes, like in Guardians of the Galaxy, where what's his name drops that orb and is fumbling around with it. That was real. Chris Pratt actually nearly dropped that. Yeah, but I can't remember his name, the character's name.
Quill?
Quill, I think.
Quill.
I don't know.
Peter Quill.
But yeah, Chris Pratt actually nearly did drop it, but they kept it in because it was very in keeping with his character. And like all the times you see Robert Downey Jr. eating. That wasn't just something of his character. He was doing that as part of his health routine, and he hid food around the sets so that he could just bring food out and start eating it. Because he was training so hard to be as fit and healthy as possible to play such a big role. And oh yes, Star-Lord, thank you.
Right. But Peter Quill is his human name. So.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of the lines in those movies weren't in the script, and half of the script got thrown out because, unlike. And I can see it in Academy, and that is one thing that does let it down. The actors haven't been allowed to explore their characters. They haven't been allowed to get to know their characters all that well because it's been so strict that they keep to the script and they do it this certain way, even if it doesn't really seem in keeping with their character or flow very well. So it's not just the writers, it's the lack of flexibility given to the actors.
Granted, Next Gen, they were very tight about sticking to their script. Now, what kind of dialogue they had maybe off camera where the actors maybe could have approached the producers and writers and said, hey, what about this? Or do you think about this? Maybe. But on set, when they were shooting, there was no room for improvisation at all.
And this is why John Delancey was nearly fired as Q.
Yes.
And they nearly got another actor to play him, which they could have got away with because of who the Q are. But the fans absolutely loved how wild he is. And, you know, he made the character, and this is the problem. Yes, actors do have a job and do the best they can, with what material they have, but they need to be allowed to work with it. They need to be allowed to get to know their characters. They need to be able to get into the heads of their characters better, do a bit of ad-lib together on set, and, you know, just have that, like, even if it's just 10 minutes of going off script to get into their character. And the things are too strict, and that's one thing that does let a lot of shows down. And you can see that it's not just the writing, it's not the characters that have been written, it's the lack of flexibility. And Phil mentioned earlier that there was a show on Netflix that he really likes. What show was that? That was cancelled after season 2.
I actually really wanted to touch on that when I get a chance to jump in. I actually really wanted to talk about that, but yeah, there was a few I really liked that got canceled.
Well, real quick, Phil. Let us hear your thoughts and opinion about what's going on. Then you give us your thoughts and opinion or your insight.
If you don't mind, Katie, if I could sort of chime in real quick.
That's what this show's all about.
Right there, where you're at. Don't lose your thought. First of all, I wasn't, regardless of whatever I thought or anyone else thought about the show, just to say this real quick. I'm not thrilled about being canceled. I don't think it's a very good idea because it does put a bit of a black mark on Star Trek at the moment, which is kind of unfair. Yeah. You know, I wanted to see it do well, regardless of whatever. It doesn't matter if I liked it or not. I wanted to see it get an audience, get a chance, and because I don't know. Has there been any other Star Trek series that didn't go past like a second season? Everything this one of them seemed to have gone at least 3 seasons or a certain number of episodes, right? I don't know how long Legacy went for, but so I think it's a shame that they hasn't
happened yet.
What's that?
Legacy hasn't happened yet.
Or no, I'm sorry, not Legacy. What was the other animated one?
Prodigy.
Lord Dex and Prodigy.
Prodigy. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know how long it went for, but
it went for 2 seasons, but it went for 40 episodes.
40 episodes, okay. Yeah. So I think that is a real shame that it didn't. I'm not shocked. I had a feeling this was coming, and for the same reasons that Travis talked about. networks now rely on new subscribers. Like there was a lot of this as a Netflix is notorious for canceling shows that people are liking. I was enjoying to just name Warrior Nun got rave reviews. It was a really good series. Got canceled. Everybody's like, what the hell? What was Dark Crystal was gorgeous. I was so enjoying that show. I was so mad when that got canceled. What was the one with the it's really good. It's based on the true story. The actual guy who started the whole process of investigating murders and profiling the killers back in the 70s and the famous interviews they recreated.
And the live chat knows what he's talking about.
It was so good and everybody was so angry it was canceled. Torchwood, and they're still going to try and bring it back. They've been talking about trying to bring it back for a couple of years because people were super mad. That one got mad. It's so good. It'll.
They did it with Shadow and Bone as well.
Sorry, it was where?
They did it with Shadow and Bone as well. They also did it with The Order. Fate the Winx Saga, and they got really good reviews,
and they top 10 list. And when people started asking, why are you doing this? These shows are getting rave reviews and they're getting good audiences. And they said it's not the number of people watching, it's how many new subscribers that show will bring in for the next season. If it's not bringing in new subscribers that are tuning into that show, they don't care. They don't care what awards it's won, how good it is. It's all about the money, and it's terrible. I agree. I agree with you, Katie. I know how mad you are, and I am 100% behind you. But that is
data analytics. They're driven by data analytics.
And
what you're saying, Phil, they're driven by data analytics. That's how the streaming war is going on and stuff and everything else. And you're right too. You're right and everything else. We were lucky that we even got 3 seasons of Star Trek Picard, but it was only he only was signed a contract for 3 seasons and stuff.
That was a contract.
Like right now, what we see in streaming, what we used to from network from syndicated TV stuff from way back then. It doesn't really exist in the streaming. So what Phil just pointed out, that's how streaming operates right now. If they're not bringing in any more new subscribers and stuff and everything else, shows are going to get canceled. I mean, shows are going to get canceled as faster than you can, say Dollywood,
Or faster than Quark seeing a strip of latinum on the bar table.
Torchwood, Torchwood was a good show. I had trouble getting into it at first, and then I was enjoying it, and then it was canceled. But it was very adult oriented, more so than Doctor Who. Like there was language and that kind of thing in it. But you don't. That's the stupid thing, is that they give a show 10 episodes, and they you don't have enough to build on. So everybody right off the bat, they will binge watch it and they will love it and it will get rave reviews and they'll get awards. But again, they want it to them. The execs, it's all about the bottom line, the bottom dollar.
Exactly.
It's not right.
Exactly.
Shows don't get a chance, and it sucks, and I hate it. And that's
business, though. I mean,
it is. Yep.
And Dennis, you should understand this, love. It's like opening a new business. When you open a new business, you cannot guarantee that in the first year you will make a profit. You cannot guarantee in the second year that you will make a profit. You might almost break even. The third year, you might just go over breaking even and make a little bit of profit. But sometimes you have to spend money to make money. And that doesn't always
I'm with you
straight away. And this is one thing that really irks me. And I didn't get Netflix until I moved to Sheffield in 2019. We had it for a couple of years before I moved to Sheffield. But I didn't really watch all that much on it. I can count on one hand how many shows I watched on it. But I started realizing there was more things that I might like. But then I got a subscription myself because it was my mum's subscription. Because I heard about a couple of new shows. But they weren't new shows. They'd been on Netflix for years.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it...
Yes, yeah, and there's reasons they do that. They have to make a balance on that. So they'll bring in like old shows that are very popular. They know people will want to rewatch, so that it maintains a certain number of watchers on that. But yes, they
and
do
there has been
that's where Tubi
huge increase in Netflix subscriptions this last month. And do you know why?
That's where Tubi
huge increase because Stargate SG-1 is now on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
All 10 seasons, and that is subscriptions have shot up because of that. How old is that show? Over 20 years old.
It's about 30 years old because it came out in 1996. Stargate SG-1.
I think.
Yep.
96, 97.
He had old episodes of Doctor Who on there for ages and ages that people were watching.
But you know,
were mad when they removed it.
They'll bring on like old shows like SG-1, and you know that has raised Netflix subscriptions. Now, if Paramount was to like get exclusivity to some old shows that were really popular back in the day, like Stargate or whatever, and they were to put that on there, they may gain a huge rise in subscribers like Netflix has because they've brought back an old classic. You know, and oh, Chris, Cooey, love you. But you know, that's an old show. That is not a new show. That is not something that they've had to spend any money on at all. Whereas Paramount, over the last couple of years since I've had Paramount Plus, because I only got Paramount Plus for Technically Track when Discovery came out, because that was only on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
I mean, Picard, that was on Amazon Prime. I could watch that okay, but Discovery was on Paramount Plus. That's the only... this show, Technically Track, is the only reason why I subscribe to Paramount Plus. And unless Star Trek goes anywhere else, I will keep that subscription for the show. But in all honesty, that Technically Track is the only reason I have it. If I wasn't doing Technically Track or taking part in it, I would not have Paramount Plus, even though that is the home of Star Trek, sort of thing, you know.
Mostly Star Trek.
Yeah, but you know, I literally only have it for this show. But as soon as, like, if Technically Track ever comes to an end, my Paramount Plus subscription will go. And you know, so that's somebody else that they've lost. You know, I mean, if you know, if all the Star Trek I need is on Netflix, fair dues. You know, I can watch it on Netflix. I don't need Paramount Plus. But I actually don't think there's any Star Trek on Netflix anymore.
Yeah, when it comes to the international laws and things like that, it does vary from week to week, month to month. I've seen from what I've seen on there.
I mean, like I say, the only reason why I'm keeping my subscription is for Technically Track. But you know, there are other ways to gain subscriptions. I mean, over the last couple of years, they've brought out loads of new shows. Like they've done Halo. They've done, is it La Brea? They've done The Mayor of Kingstown. They've done The Killing Kind, but that was only one season. They've done a lot, and they did the Teen Wolf movie. But again, they didn't do that right. and it caused a lot of issues with the fans because they were so concerned about money and they wanted to get it out as quickly as possible. They didn't have time to like do it to the best of their ability because they were put on such a short leash. One of the actors didn't go back because they wouldn't hold off for 3 months, even though it had been years that in the make, like it had been a couple of years in talks. They couldn't hold off 3 months until he'd finished his other project, and then one of the other actors, Arden Cho, she was offered pittance basically because Paramount was so bothered about money, and they were being very sexist as well. And that's why she didn't return. She refused it. But if they'd have waited to get one of the main characters back into it, and if they had have offered a fair wage to Arden Cho,
Yep, Janice, you're right.
it'd be 10 times better.
Good night,
Take care,
Jim.
Jim. You be safe.
See you
Well,
soon, Dan.
thank you for stopping by. Come back and see us next week.
But you know that's why the Teen Wolf movie didn't do too well, because one of the main characters wasn't in it, and it kind of spoiled it, and they felt the need to replace Arden Cho with somebody else, a new character, and it kind of worked, but at the same time it didn't, and that's why that movie didn't do too well. But you know, there's no room to breathe now. There isn't. And if Netflix carry on the way they're going, if Paramount carries on down this route, they're going to start losing subscribers left, right, and center.
Let me propose this to the to our people in chat and to you guys and stuff and everything, because this is what I heard with, when I watched the Trek, when I heard Trek culture and stuff. Do anybody feel like right now Star Trek, because at one point after 2005 it took a break.
Oh, absolutely.
After Strange New World, do Star Trek need to take a break and do a course correct? Do Paramount need to do a course correction when it looks to what they want to proceed in the future for Star Trek and stuff? I mean, this is something that, you know, they was talking about, like what they felt that they need to do in a sense to, you know, keep, like, you know, I say the older audience and the newer audience and stuff and everything else. It's like, take a step back, take a breather, look at, you know, look at what they have, look at what they can do, and try to figure out, because most likely anything that's going to be done is going to be done if this merger happens, if it happens or if it doesn't happen and stuff. But most likely they saying that it should take at least about a 3 to 4 year break of Star Trek, just for a general consensus for, you know, the audience sake and everything. So I'm just throwing this out to the entire you know, the people in chat, you know, and to you guys and stuff like that. Do Star Trek in general, I know they say something like they're gonna focus on movies, but do they need to take a step back and just kind of breathe?
Well, there's enough episodes in the library for us to go for a couple of years without anything new.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be that would be acceptable, and I think that a breather could be needed, because at the minute, mind me. But you know, they need to reassess things, and they need to allow actors to breathe a bit more within their roles as well. And even if it is new writers, they can get new writers in to work on a script, on a potential script, and refine it. You know, I think that because, how can I put this without sounding like a bitch?
Sound like a bit.
I really can't. Profit is all these streaming networks are bothered about. They're bothered about profit, new subscriptions, yada yada yada. It does no. You don't have to have brand new things to gain profit, as Netflix have just found out with Stargate SG-1. Simple. You know, you don't have to create new things all the time to make money. You see, I know this on a completely different level of, like, same with authors. You know, they write a series of books. They can still make money off that series, extra money, and gain more profit by releasing special editions. You know, and that gains a lot of money. You know, they like offer like exclusive artwork, do these like Kickstarter projects and things like that. That there are ways to make money. I mean, one author who I really love, she's rewriting an entire 4-book series and also a duology, and they were the first thing that they were the first 2 series she ever wrote and released. So and she said her writing style has changed a lot since then, and even though the story isn't changing, she's doing a big rewrite on it. I know it from a personal perspective because I'm doing a major rewrite on the series I'm writing, and that's before it's even been seen. It's only been seen by several beta readers. But you know, it's the same with scripts. It's the same with anything. You know, you go back, you refine it. I mean, Star Wars was re-released digitally enhanced, and everybody went wild for it. The profit they made on that, all because it was digitally remastered. And this is what companies like Paramount don't seem to realize. You don't have to keep knocking out new things that are absolute shite that you're going to cancel after 1 or 2 seasons to make money. Go back and look through the
tax write-off
years ago. You know, and bring things back.
Well, you know, I mean, what Phil said too. I mean, like there had been people who said this too. Like they waited so long to do because there's been talk for, I guess, the last 2 decades and stuff about doing a Star Trek that are Starfleet Academies. But some feel that doing it that far into the future, where a lot of people who grew up into the TNG, DS9, and Voyager era would have felt like it would have been more sense to do it somewhere in that time frame, like sometime like, you know, you will see, like we seen Star Trek Picard, all 3 seasons, all 3 series, you know, and stuff in their season, I should say, and stuff and everything. People saying, you know, they did Star Trek Academy so far into the future and stuff and everything else, and it left the poor taste in some people's mouths and stuff and everything and whatnot and everything. So there's a lot of discussion like where people have said that the show the idea of the premise could have been like maybe we instead of looking so much to the future and stuff, let's do something that some said like what they did, like it could have been taking place after Star Trek Picard season 3. Because according to Marina Sirtis, there is going to be no Star Trek Legacy. There is no Paramount have no plans to ever do a Star Trek Legacy. So there's a
huge missed opportunity right there.
Yeah, there is a missed opportunity, but according to Marina, she said Paramount have said that they are not interested in doing a Star Trek Legacy. So
why would we do what they want?
Yeah, some people said why not put Starfleet Academy like a few years after the events of Star Trek Picard season 3. Some people have said that and everything, not put it like Discovery and stuff and everything else, but I don't know. Phil, what was your take about like what I just said too about like throwing the about like what I proposed to everybody into the audience, stuff like that. What's your intake about it's just crazy.
To comment on why they put it so far in the future, from what I understood, just really quick brief, it's just a little bit I picked up way back, was that they wanted to try and keep it something new that was so from everything else, but still have it in the same universe, but also have it separate. So they thought, well, we'll put it way in the future, so it's not really connected with any of this. We can kind of try and make it its own thing, give it its own new start, but still keep it within the same universe. And that was from what I understood their reasoning was behind that. Whether I buy that completely or not, I'm not sure, but that was the reasoning I heard. But what was it you wanted to respond?
I was just making a general throughout the question about like I almost forgot because it's been so long.
It's okay.
So long.
Before you do anything else, I'm looking at myself in some of the live feeds. It's like the way I'm kind of looking up a little bit is say because of my bifocals.
Oh, speaking of looking up,
Katie.
I'll catch you.
Oh, come on, Phil. I catch you.
By the way, I fell a week tonight, right here. I tripped on my desk. I fell, landed on my rib cage, and I had to go to the doctors and then for X-rays because I have a hairline fracture. My ribs are in so much pain. I can't cough or sneeze without feeling like somebody's stabbed me with a knife. I've been sitting here adjusting, trying to get comfortable because it feels just like there's constant, like somebody just pushing their fist constantly right in here. So it's going to be apparently like this for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Great. Some pain.
See, this is why we need Voyager's doctor to ways that take over you and you be magically healed. Well, not magically healed, but medically healed.
Quick question.
As long as someone hands them a medical tricorder.
Yeah.
No. I was just gonna say, did you video it?
No. It was 2 in the morning, and I just made a cup of herbal tea to try and sleep. It was a chamomile tea, and the stupid thing is I know that as I went down, I didn't want to spill the tea, and I was trying to hold it like this, which is why I ended up hitting my rib cage on my side.
Oh.
The cup didn't break, but the tea just kind of went out and everywhere. I lost it all. I was so mad. I was so mad that I didn't feel anything that night. That was the weird thing, is it didn't bother me that night. And I was so mad about that I cleaned up the spilled tea and I went and made another one. I really wanted it. Went to bed, and it wasn't until I woke up the next morning that I was in so much pain. Like I didn't feel it that night, but it wasn't until I woke up that it was like somebody's stabbing me with a knife.
That's what happened with me when I went bowling about a month ago, and my
No.
arm is still hurting like a mother. So I'm going to see my doctor in the morning about it.
It's like this.
Still could be an honorary Brit because, you know, saving the tea
Yeah.
and then, you know, being
It is in my
so
blood,
angry
my
about,
dear. It is in
yeah,
my blood.
being so angry about the tea that you don't feel the pain until the next day, and you
Okay.
leave it up angrily and storm off to make another brew. Honestly, that is just like, that is very Yorkshire as well. That is very
Falling, falling with style.
Dial, yeah.
Yes.
At least the tea they get dumped into the in Boston Harbor and stuff, you know.
No.
That's
No, just
Or on
on
the computer.
but no, in
yeah.
general, you know, I know everybody has their, you know, own feelings and stuff. I mean, like Phil said, no one wants to see this show canceled. I mean, yeah, there are people I have seen, yes, people saying wokeness has been canceled, other stuff, DEI has been canceled. There's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of like, you know, loudmouth in the galleries and stuff who are saying stuff like that. But you know, for people like myself and everything else, you know, I may have criticized the show, you know, but I never said I wanted to see it canceled and stuff and everything else.
Same.
I just said,
Absolutely same.
you know, you know, it does have its way of improving itself because there was episodes that I enjoyed and stuff and everything else, you know, but for the most part, for me, you know, it was the writing and stuff and everything else. I don't subscribe to, you know, the whole, you know, woke DEI stuff and everything else. It was just, you know, in some ways the writing and stuff and everything else. And of course, you know, we talk about it because they only have 10 episodes and it's on streaming. It's not like it's got 26 episodes that they can do for like what back in the day where we would get from almost what September, October, all the way to May or June to watch, you know, Star Trek, and then we had to wait like summertime before you know the next season come out and stuff like that. So we was you know privy to things that right now others are not, you know, and they got to tell so much stuff at a quick pace and stuff and everything else. But in all, you know, it really sucked because guess what? People lost their jobs, and of course in Hollywood you learn that you know you start a new series and stuff like that you just got to be prepared for when the series get canceled because you never know. Sir Patrick Stewart, he talked about like he kept uh uh his luggage on, you know, on standby because he was thinking that when Star Trek Next Generation started, he felt like, you know, this show ain't gonna last for a couple of, you know, episodes, and he was gonna get, you know, he's gonna get let go. So he had his luggage, you know, prepared and go to ready to go and stuff like that. But you know, he didn't realize that it's gonna be 7 years before he get let go and stuff and everything else, you know. So it's one of the things that, you know, actors have to be on guard or be prepared for, you know, starting in the show and got to have the mindset that, especially in streaming these days, because it's not network TV, you know, and network TV it has done that too. Not saying that it's limited to streaming, but network TV has done it too. That I watched shows that I was like, oh my goodness, and then and after that, you know, it's about 7 8 episodes later they cancel and stuff. But it happens. That's Hollywood. That's entertainment for stuff like that. It's something that's not pulling in the audience, the ratings and stuff and everything. That's what happened. They said that's what the official story is saying about like why uh Academy's got canceled is because the ratings, not enough subscribers. You know, a lot of negativity about the show and stuff and everything else. So, you know, that's the official stuff and everything.
Well,
But
one thing we have to remember though is with Prodigy, before Prodigy came out, they said it's geared towards younger viewers, towards kids,
yes,
hence the animation style.
yeah,
Same can go with Star Trek Scouts, the YouTube series that we haven't even touched. That was just like 3 4 minute, like 7 8 year old kids playing Star Trek characters in that series because that's targeted towards the preschooler kids. In Academy, before Academy even began principal photography is the fact that they said this is geared towards like the teenagers, the young adult demographics. They're trying to reach out to a different group. So us older viewers and those that are even older than us, when they're looking at this, they're looking at it from through a different lens. They're saying this is not the Star Trek I grew up with. This is not the Star Trek that I'm familiar with. I hate it, without giving it an opportunity. But even myself, see, I was really kind of the Vetus Fluxus episode. So just like, oh, this is a little weird. And saying the Serious Acclamation Mill, that episode, it was definitely more geared towards that demographic with all the fancy little writing and little goofy stuff that they had going in post production, things like that. That kind of turned me off, to be honest. And I was just like, I'm still going to hold on to it. I'm going to hold out and hope that this season's going to get better, and it did. And same with the penultimate episode, 300th Night. That was really good. Would have done slightly different on a production aspect in getting that more cliffhangery like they've done with the 3 seasons of Picard. The penultimate episode ended with like a big bang, saying Academy though is just like it was a biter, but it didn't dig its teeth into me as tough as or as tight as the 3 seasons of Picard did. There were more stakes involved in those 3 seasons Picard. And saying that didn't happen with Zooey Katie.
I have kind of a question of thought, and Travis, I know you're kind of on you've got kind of your finger on all the hot buttons when it comes to more the behind the scenes stuff. But so it's canceled as far as we know. Like they'll do second season and it's canceled. Now
we don't know if they are going to do the second season. That's the one thing that's the big question. Are they going to still air it, or are they going to just sell it off like they did Prodigy after they canceled Prodigy?
Yeah, like is there a chance? I don't know. There's a couple of thoughts that could come to mind. Because is Star Trek is still owned by Paramount? Like that's
yes,
so that's not going to change.
Yes,
no,
their
so
IP is their IP.
Because I know sometimes things like Netflix, when a show gets canceled, they're like, "Hey, let's try and shop it around, see if somebody else will pick it up." A lot of streaming services, if they lose a show that people like, they'll try and shop it around. But in the case of Star Trek, I don't think they can do that. Could they get fan support enough fan support to make
David Ellison? David Ellison, to your question, real quick, Phil, I'll let you finish. David Ellison is a huge Star Trek fan. He's a big movie fan and stuff like that. Yeah. David Ellison, stuff like that. So when his company purchased Paramount and stuff like that, the IP, became, property of his and stuff. Now, insiders have said to, I've seen some trades and stuff, outlets and stuff have said that, David Ellison is a huge fan, and he wants to, from what they're saying, that they're going to kind of course correct the ship. They're going to do some course correcting for future stuff. They never said they never. This is what they said last year, probably back in
okay.
This was in September. There's going to be doing some course correcting with Star Trek in a sense for the long-term future and stuff, because they just got purchased by Skydance and it became Paramount Skydance. So he was, I guess, on an investor call and stuff and everything else, and was just letting people know that they have a plan set, a roadmap for the next 5 years or so, and stuff and everything else. Star Trek is part of it, but how that roadmap is done right now is kind of at a standstill, because as soon as after this, after David Ellison made that, statement stuff, WBD came up, Warner Brothers Discovery came up for sale. And he was like, "Oh my God, I gotta have it. I gotta have this company, because right now HBO Max is the gold standard of streaming." He wants HBO Max to compete with Netflix. He even said he wants to compete with Netflix and Disney Plus and stuff. So his goal is to shut down HBO Max, combine it into Paramount Plus, This is one of the things, stuff like that. I don't know what they're gonna do with the entire Warner Brothers studio, but keep 2 studios and stuff. It's mind-boggling. There'll be a lot of redundancy. As I said, estimate about 12,000 people are gonna lose their jobs. That's just an estimate about if this proposal go through. But the long-term plans is kind of put on hold right now. They're gonna put out like they got season 2 of Academy's coming out, which will be I think early next year.
Right.
And after that, there's no more coming. But then we got Strange New Worlds. Right now,
Yeah.
the executives and all the people at Paramount are so focused about this merger that any kind of future projects is kind of at a standstill. So that's why there's some people who are saying that right now Star Trek could use a breather with no future projects at hand, and let's see what they work out and stuff. But I'm sorry, Phil, go ahead.
Oh no, that's good to know. Because I just wondered, because I know too they scrapped the Star Trek 4 movie in favor of like doing something else. I don't know what. People, when they do things that just upset people. I don't get it, because you're just going to piss people off every time you do that, but they do it. No, everyone's like, oh, Star Trek Legacy. Nope, sorry guys. So yeah. But
it was a missed opportunity. That was a missed opportunity for them. They said that they could have done like a year later. Hey, Katie, she got what they were. It was a missed opportunity for them to, because there people saying it's actually a little too late now, because a lot of the cast, a lot of people we've seen in Star Trek season 3 Picard, they moved on to different projects and stuff and everything else, and they're not really eager to like, oh, I'm gonna jump back over to Paramount and do this show that may or may not happen.
Oh,
Katie was having
You're just flipping all over the place, lady.
Yeah, I know. But can I just make a comment on something?
Always.
As everybody knows, Marina Sirtis has turned around and said, look, Legacy is never going to happen. And she gave the reason for it. And her reasoning is a load of bull.
Oh, probably.
Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. But she turned around and said, let's face it, Star Trek Legacy is never going to happen, because nobody, and the reason for that is nobody wants to watch a show full of people who are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I'm just like, whoa, hold on a minute. Star Trek Legacy would not be about them. It would be about, all right.
But even Jerry Ryan's in her 50s right now, so.
Well, yeah, she is, but she doesn't look old and decrepit.
He was in his late 40s when he started, but as the show was going, he entered his 50s.
Yeah, but
was Michelle Hurd?
There's a lot of younger ones as well. All right, fair enough. Jerry Ryan's in her 50s, and I don't know how old.
Michelle Hurd is 59. She's 59. Michelle Hurd is 59.
But then you've got all the younger cast, you've got Picard's son. You've basically got all their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then new members of the crew are a lot younger. That could work. Yeah, fair enough. There'd be a couple of them who are older, as they are in Academy. But especially with that extra scene with Jack and Q. That got everybody's hopes up for something to come after. And everybody wants Star Trek Legacy with Jerry Ryan as Captain 7. And
Michelle Hurd as her first officer.
Yeah, and like, yeah, they want Seven and Raffi, that they want Jack Crusher, they want Sidney LaForge. You know, that's what the fans want, and yet that they're not listening to what the fans want. They went and did Academy, and all right, I mean, I love Academy, I really do. Yes, I see some of the flaws in it, I do, but I think that it is really good, and I can't wait for season 2. I mean, I hope that they rectify the cliffhanger, but you know, it's, yeah, they're all about money. They want to make a profit, so why not listen to the fans? You know, it's the fans that make the profit, who generate the profit. You know, because if you don't have a good fan base, you don't make money. Paramount Plus is supposedly the home of Trek, and everybody wants Star Trek Legacy.
And they've had multiple Trek shows going on at one time.
Exactly.
It's not like you have to do them one at a time. I mean, I guess they're more expensive now. Maybe they don't want to. I don't know. They probably have reasons they don't want to do that. But you know, we've had Voyager and Deep Space Nine run at the same time.
Well, the overlapping. The overlapping when Deep Space Nine came in, it came in the second half of TNG 6th season, because it was Chain of Command. It was Chain of Command, and then after TNG went off the air for just a short amount of time, it was only Deep Space Nine, and then it was in the third season of the second half of the third season of Deep Space Nine when Voyager debuted. So when you look at like I said earlier, from 1987 all the way to when Voyager ended in 2001, you had what almost
and then when
14,
Enterprise start
14, 15 years of Star Trek that overlapped each other.
Yeah. And when did Enterprise start?
01, after Voyager ended.
September 01. Believe it or not, it actually started.
Holy cow.
It started after 9/11. Actually, it debuted after 9/11 of that year.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and I always remember when Enterprise started, because it started not long after Smallville started on season 1. Well, aired anyway.
I laughed because I thought that was going to bomb that show.
Yeah, and it went on for 10 seasons, like 24 episodes a season.
I was like, this is terrible. This is going to last.
I always remember one of the episodes of season 1. I think they were filming that. Or did it air? I can't remember if they were filming it or it aired when 9/11 happened. And there was a hell of a lot going on. They actually had I think they were filming it. Because and they ended up having to change a lot of the future scripts because of what happened on 9/11, because that they were going to go down a very similar route with one episode, I think, or a couple of episodes, or some form of storyline that had very similar things going on to what happened at 9/11.
It's like
my ears cut out for a second. You're talking about 24, the show?
No, Smallville.
Oh,
Smallville was filmed in Vancouver, in the Vancouver and stuff area.
Oh yeah.
But the TV series 24 aired right around the time of the September 11th attacks, and there was like they already shot the first episode, and the first episode dealt with Zumi Katie, Cam.
She's been having some technical difficulties all night.
Testicle difficulties.
But
no, the first episode of 24 dealt with a terrorist blowing up an airplane.
Oh,
and
what was the show? Oh, what was the show? It was spin off with the X-Files, the 3 guys that was actually really popular, and they gave them a terrible ending.
Oh, the oh,
The
I
Lone
know the
Gunman.
three guys you're
The
talking
Lone
about.
Gunman.
Lone Gunman, yeah.
You heard
Yeah,
about
actually, I
the
think that went
episode of
for
The
one or
Lone
two
Gunman,
seasons.
right? That featured the World Trend Center. That
Yes,
look for
yes,
that one on
yes.
YouTube. I'm not even going to discuss that here, but yeah, that was
They
just
did that.
too weirdly coincidental.
It was so crazy that the Lone Gunman show happened. I
Mhm.
think it took place. I think in early between spring and summertime because it
Yeah,
happened several months. It's several months. I think about 5 months before 9/11. You
yeah,
know that
yeah.
they aired that
And
and
they
stuff.
didn't air it. Yeah, yeah.
But anyways,
They
with the
did them
episode of
dirty.
24, they've
That
already
was a good
shot it. It was in
show.
the can, and then September 11th happened, so they went in and kind of redid the opening, the ending moments of that episode
Mhm.
where the Mandy, I believe, was the name of the terrorist that planted the bomb. She just kind of jettisoned herself out the side of the plane, and then you could just see, you could see and hear, you could see the light and hear the explosion of the plane, but you didn't actually see the plane explode
Right.
because they felt that that would have been like a little too close to home too soon
Intense.
after those events.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when I heard you start talking that, I was like, "Ooh, I know this," but it's like I didn't get into Smallville. I'm a bad gay when it comes to that.
Oh, and I absolutely loved it. And that's how the TV show Merlin was born, because of how well Smallville did. They decided to do like a reimagining of Merlin with a much younger cast, and
Right.
it was absolutely brilliant.
It's good. I never did see it, but I heard it was really good.
Yeah, it really is. But you know, all these old shows that we're speaking about, yeah, they're available on streaming sites. But some of these older these older shows are the reason why I subscribed to certain streaming services. And if they really do want to make money, bring back some old stuff, get more subscribers that way. But I think that if they're not going to do a season 3 of Academy, I really do believe that they should round it off with a movie at the very least, because like correct the cliffhanger or whatever, because I really don't like cliffhangers. I mean, so some of the shows
They'll have
that
to, if they know it's canceled, they'll have to rewrite the ending. Like they'll have to redo
they
that.
have
Like
to.
that's what they had to do with Discovery because they were planning on a season 6, and they said, "You know what? Nope, we're done."
Yeah, and I mean, I like Discovery. I mean, I like Lower Decks, but in my opinion, it was time for that to end. Even though I do like it, I don't think that it's a Trek show that I would watch again.
Really?
Really. It's good. It is. And I laughed so much when I was watching some of the episodes, but it's not something that I would generally go back and watch again.
When I just needed 30 minutes to kill, get ready for something, I'd just pop on a random Lower Decks episode.
No, I don't know why, but it's not something I would choose to go back and watch. And I mean, I've never rewatched it. I never have. Don't get me wrong, I rewatched season 4 before I watched the final season. But it was time for that to end for me. It was enough, and it was done well. Prodigy, I really tried getting into that. I just couldn't. But you know, I'd watch Academy again. I haven't done the binge watch of the entire thing yet. I haven't been in the right frame of mind to be able to watch TV, in all honesty. But you know, emotions are allowed.
Yeah, yeah. Wilson Cruz, he is a real stand-up guy. I actually had an opportunity to meet him one-on-one, and I honestly I kind of chickened out. I was just very bashful, very reserved. I mean, this is a big, huge Hollywood. This was like 2012, so this was a hot minute ago. And I to this day I kick myself for not saying hi and shaking his hand.
He plays Hugh, doesn't he? Oh, I love him. I don't like Paul, but I love Hugh. I can't remember the actor's name who plays his husband. But yeah, I absolutely adore Hugh. He is lovely.
And his story, that's just kind of like some crazy messed up stuff going on with that with the character. So
yeah, but no, I mean, there's a lot of Trek that I've rewatched, like really rewatched Voyager mainly. But I've also done several rewatches of Picard. What was that? I mean, literally drooled. Someone introduced me, and my mouth had a. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Anthony Rapp is what you talking. You're looking for his name, Anthony Rapp.
Yes,
you know,
I can't
like
stand it. Character and actor, I can't stand him. That was one of the reasons why I nearly stopped watching Discovery, because I just could not stand him. But I carried on watching it for everybody else. I think that might have left an impression, you think? Gotta love you, Dennis. Gotta love you.
Yeah,
well, guys, this year's the 60th anniversary of Star Trek and stuff, and a lot of people. I just had somebody on my Facebook. He's he just posted on his Facebook. He was like, well, he said, I decided because I haven't really much to do. I decided to watch Star Trek, and I said, oh, really? I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and I said, what are you watching? New Trek of old Trek? I said, and then his reply was to me, I'm started with TNG. I said, okay, that's good. I said, I didn't tell him to go watch the TOS and stuff. I just said it's good that you are watching and starting it because he said he's gonna do a binge watch of like some of the most older Star Trek in recent years and stuff and everything else. So he's probably I think 30, I think he's 31, 32, something like that. So you got a lot of people who like some people like I seen William said he's going back and rewatching Enterprise. A lot of people, because it's the 60th anniversary, but a lot of people don't really, it's not talked about, but it is the 60th anniversary of Star Trek, that people are going rewatching, older Star Trek in a sense. And I know Katie's not gonna watch TOS and stuff like that. I've been rewatching TOS because it's been a hot minute since I'm like, I want to get a good perspective, because there are some people who are younger than me who actually are one of them that knows more on the TOS than I do, and I'm like, I got to get back on my game and stuff. But needs to say, there are people who are enjoying going back rewatching on Paramount Plus and stuff and everything else, and I think it's good for the service and stuff like that, because people are still watching Star Trek, whether it be new Trek or older Trek and stuff like that. But you get a lot of people have in the last, I guess, who was born within the last 20 years and stuff, who's watching old Star Trek. They are appreciating I guess both and stuff, because a lot of people who, they watch the newer Trek and stuff and they understand it, but yet when they go back and see and they be like, this is a lot different than what I'm used to. I see, like, some people's, they post on YouTube here and stuff, and they say that it feels so different watching older Trek than some of the newer Trek and everything else, and it seemed like that they always have pleasant things to say about, not all the time, but they had some pleasant things to say about, like, Star Trek that was before that came out before they was born and stuff and everything. The City on the Edge of Forever. Oh, that's a good one, Chris. The City on the Edge of Forever. TOS, that is a good one. I don't know if anybody in the
Chris.
chat and everything who remember that, but yes, The City on the Edge of Forever.
But no,
He
I
was
mean,
muted. That's how he talking. He was muted.
That won an award. That one did.
yeah,
Huh?
I mean,
Oh no, I just said it won an award. Sitting on the Edge of Forever. That episode won an award, I think, for its writing.
Hugo or something like that, or did they have
Yeah.
Hugos back then?
That's a good question.
but no, I mean, 60 years of Trek, millions or billions.
Billions upon billions.
Carl Sagan would say
Yeah.
billions and billions.
Trek has touched the lives of a lot of people, and
Oh.
it's impacted my life a hell of a lot as well. I mean,
Ask William what he think, because he just got here late and we've been talking a bit, like what he think about Academy's getting canceled, because I know he wasn't here at the top of the show and stuff and everything else, but like
Oh, yeah.
did you hear about Starfleet
yes.
Academy getting canceled and stuff? And William, I don't know if you've seen it or heard about it or anything. What is your intake on, just give us a little summary on what you think after 2 seasons? Well, second season hasn't been debuted, but they canceled it, after the after they set after the 10th episode of the first season, they canceled it and stuff.
Well, I think it was like Variety broke it by on Monday. I want to say Monday afternoon.
Variety. They got the scoop.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
you see, I think one of the reasons why I like Academy is because it does have everything from Star Trek's core. And it's like I've said from the off, even more so, because the cadets are being taught those principles and those ideals. But they're still facing so many challenges. And at such a young age, I admire them for what they endured in season 1. They were on a training exercise that turned into the real deal. And they were barely halfway through their first year at the academy. That is not something you expect in your first year of training as a cadet, even in the armed forces. It's not something that is ever expected, even though, expect the unexpected, but it's, I mean, I've got very eclectic taste, and some of my tastes are very contradictory as well. I mean, I can't stand like Austen and Bronte and all that jazz, and yet I love Bridgerton and Downton Abbey and like certain period dramas, but I can't stand reading it. And sometimes I can't stand watching, like Pride and Prejudice and all that jazz. Oh no. But so some of my tastes are very contradictory, but my tastes are also very eclectic. And And I think that's another reason why I like Academy. But I think I just watch things far too deeply, and that's why I get so engrossed in them. I'm the same with books, you know, and I often like things that other people don't. I often really, really love things other people don't. I mean, earlier on I mentioned the Marvel movies. Age of Ultron is one of the least favorite of the entire fandom, and yet that's actually one of my favorites out of the entire MCU. And everyone's just like, seriously, that's one of like the worst MCU movies. And I just don't see it, but I can see why other people would think it is. But with me watching things very differently, I think that's why I can like more things than others sometimes.
I just checking Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and it says someone a Starfleet Academy fan, so Star Trek SFA. When bigots and phobes come to reply, I find myself too distracted by the content to care. And hopefully I had it there quick enough that
I could see so much about that image. I could say so much about it. I really could.
And I'm hoping I had it on there quick enough that YouTube won't dox the video in itself, because I remember when Sean put a couple of snips of stuff like that on Trek Culture, and he got doxxed. But we're not being monetized right now, so it's like big whoop.
The thing is, I
saw that just had to make me chuckle, because I mean that just right there kind of ties into, it's geared towards the high school age folk and whatnot.
You see, me and Dennis could both say a lot about that image. I'm sure that Dennis would say something completely different to me. But I really like the lighting in that still.
Oh, yeah.
I really do. And it really does highlight his muscles. It really does. Oh, yeah. But it's done so... That entire scene, I think, was done so well. The lighting was beautiful. And, I mean, come on. I'm gay. And even I have, the lighting, the relaxation,
the cucumbers in the eyes.
Yeah, I mean, that is the cucumbers on the eyes. That is classed as such a girly thing to do, and Caleb is anything but girly,
And I read that the actor had to actually lose muscle for this role, because he was just too muscular for the role.
But the light and the shadow highlight the work that he's put into himself.
Picture that
How do we have Generations vibe?
That picture that you show of Caleb laying there, the only thing I could think of, without being too graphic and sexual and stuff and everything else, is, there's gonna be a lot of people who's gonna be looking at his feet, wanting to get off on it, because there's a lot of foot fetishes. I guess he got some beautiful feet.
Even as far back as the original Star Trek, I mean, how many times did they try and get like Shatner out of his shirt in a fight scene or something? Or even Sulu in the sword fighting scene, right? I mean, it's been guilty for 60 years.
Trier was running around setting his bloody underwear when in that episode of Enterprise, when they all got knocked out and the Ferengi were robbing him. And Trip was running around in his vest and boxers, and I mean, I could have really done without seeing that, but you got to give him credit. He had a nice hiney. But, I mean, I mean, just look at the outfit of Seven of Nine in Voyager.
Oh yeah.
You know, a load of lesbians and straight men lost their shit over that outfit. Personally, I didn't, but you know, I mean, I was more for, you know, DOiiiCH's jumper looks really comfy, even though I bet it's not. It looks really comfy, and I want that jumper. But I mean, Mano himself has said that those were really itchy. So I'm just like, no.
I can only imagine the fabric that they use and stuff and everything, the material and everything. But you know, the thing about that too, because I know people touched on the DEI wokeness and stuff and everything else, but like when it comes to the sexual nature and stuff like that, nobody has really. I haven't never heard anybody tonight or seen anybody in chat and everything talk about, like, you know, Star Trek has gotten too sexual. Like just because we just mentioned about, like, you know, you just mentioned about like Connor Trenier when he was running around as Charles Tucker, you know, was running around in his skimmies, and they did a lot. They did show a lot of, like, you know, skin in Enterprise and stuff.
I wouldn't object.
Actually, it is something that I'd love to see, because I would love to have seen like the before and after.
You know, that's what Google. That's what
I didn't
Google
use
is
a rough-
for.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm not a gay man or a straight man, and I'm not a perv.
Did we?
Well, I am, but not over men.
But backstage, you had a sausage in your mouth, so you know there's a couple of times I was like, "Oh, Katie got a sausage in her mouth backstage." My.
Actually, I had three. Actually, I had three.
Oh my! You want up on me on that? 3 at the same time. You go, girl.
But no, you know, it's I mean, so some of the outfits that have been worn in Trek over the years, you know, is it any wonder? And then, like, in Enterprise, when they went through decon, they were basically in their underwear.
Yes. That was before they had, like, you know, ways of, like, you know, decontaminating. You know,
Your audio's going to crap there.
Yeah. And you know, we got to see in Captain's Holiday in Star Trek, if anybody remember, season 3 of TNG, Jean-Luc Picard went on vacation to Rise. Do anybody remember him? Like, you know, he was in these little bitty, looked like little swimming shorts, but he had like a little. I won't call it a blouse, but he had like a little thin shirt and stuff like that. So we seen, like, you know, images, you know, not well
Everyone on
sexualizing
Rise
them,
was
but we
having.
seen them. Oh, what about the what was that where oh shoot, I'm losing my train of thought. The episode where Wesley got in trouble because he disrupt it was
Justice.
Justice. It was in Justice. Just
those scantily clad outfits. Oh my Glanta.
Those little that it wasn't a pleasure planet, but these people who were like childlike and everything else, they wore the skinniest looking outfits and stuff and everything. So, you know, when it comes to the whole, you know, you could say sexualizing both male and female.
Riker wore. Let's not forget the outfit Riker wore. Was it on Angel One?
Oh,
Angel One.
Yeah. You know, exactly. I've already said that. You know, that the outfit that Seven of Nine wore.
Yes, William, Captain's Holiday. Some people didn't like Captain's Holiday. Yeah, I know there's some people who, you know, didn't like Captain's Holiday, but Captain Holiday was a good episode and stuff and everything. But, like, you know, it's one thing too, like, you know, that Star Trek has kind of pushed, but without being so suggestive, is, you know, showing not R-rated nudity, but almost, you could say, PG-13 between the PG-13 and R-rated without showing, you know, their kibbles and bits, you could say. So, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, Star Trek has, you know, skirted the line of being sexualized, but without being, oh my God, this is straight porn and everything else. But in a sense, you know, Star Trek has adapted, has overcome and everything else. We will see what Paramount or Paramount Plus, you could say Paramount in general and stuff, Paramount Skydance, what David Ellison has in store for the foreseeable future when it comes to, yeah, M-rated. The uh foreseeable future when it comes to Star Trek and everything else, you know, because we do have some, we still have to wrap up Strange New Worlds, you know, and after that, you know, it's a toss up on what Star Trek is going to look like, because I know there are people who said, and you know, some outlets and trades and stuff said that they're going to really focus on probably movies, you know, and I know you like, you know, Section 31 movie, but a lot of executives and Dave Ellison now was not fans of Section 31. They actually, there's a lot of people who said that they can't believe that the people who, after the merger happened with Paramount Skydance, they can't believe that, you know, the previous executives allow Section 31 to be greenlit, you know, because it was, they felt it was just absolutely atrocious, an atrocious Star Trek movie and stuff and everything else. So they say they want to make sure that is going to be course corrected and there's not ever going to be a Section 31 fiasco.
Yeah, I swear none of the fans watched that movie. They just had it on in the background, because if they actually watched it properly, you know, there was a lot of realism in it, and it was everything.
Oh no, that was the executive said. These were executives. These were like executives who, after Paramount Skydance and stuff like that, who said that, you know, it wasn't the fan, it was like the people at Paramount. You know, the new people at Paramount. They said that they don't know how that show or that movie got greenlit. They said that they make sure that's never going to happen again. You know, that Section 30, that kind of Section 31 would never be allowed to happen and stuff under their tenure.
But the thing is, that got such a bad rap, and the two things that everyone was focusing on was, you don't stand around and laugh and joke when you're in the middle of a really important covert mission and you're trying to save a ton of people, and that is not how Philippa would act. That is very out of character for her. They've completely rewritten her character. And I'm just like, whoa, hold on a minute. One, and I always use the DT family as an example. Could you imagine if a lot of us were hired by Section 31 and we all had to go on a mission together? How often do you think that we would break out into fits of giggles, however serious the situation? You know, I'd probably trip up a load of stairs if we had to go upstairs. I'd probably trip over thin air. I'd probably end up taking half of you down with me, you know, because that is real life. Things happen. Things don't go to plan. Sometimes you need a joke to, relieve tension. And as for Philippa, yes, that is how she would react, because she has been through a hell of a lot in her life that we didn't even get to find out in Discovery. Yes, we knew a hell of a lot, but there are certain details that we didn't get to find out. And that, you know, all that was found out in the Section 31 movie. And it made a lot of things make sense. And we saw when the mirror universe Philippa came into it, she did show emotion eventually, especially where Michael was concerned. She did show certain softer sides to herself, even though she covered it in a very tough exterior. But when she was faced with the core of her trauma and everything that she buried deep, you know, that that's bound to rise to the surface after being suppressed for so long. The same as Picard in First Contact when he blew up at Lily. He'd had all that blowing up at him for years, but he always carried it very stoically. And it all had to come out at some point. And, you know, everybody said that that was really out of character for Picard because of how stoic he is, how very calm he is, even when he's panicking, sort of thing. But, you know, humans are like onions. They have layers. And especially when it comes to like fictional characters. Well, not especially, no, but like even fictional characters have layers. And if you know the character well enough, and if the actor plays the character well enough, you can see those layers. So if something like Picard's explosion at Lily or Philippa's sudden rush of emotion, like overflowing in whatever capacity, you would know that that isn't out of character at all. It's just a layer we haven't experienced yet because of how they feel they have to present themselves all the time. So I don't understand why Section 31 gets so much hate. I don't understand why Academy gets so much hate.
It's I think I can hit the head on both answer to both those questions. It's different from the Trek that we grew up with.
That's what Trek culture. That's what Trek culture. Sean Ferrick now say.
Yeah, but the thing is, I grew up. All right, fair enough. It was reruns, obviously, because I wasn't born until '87. But the Trek I grew up with was also TOS, and it was because of TOS why I hated Star Trek. And in all honesty, TOS nearly put me off sci-fi in general. But then I discovered Aliens, and my love of sci-fi was renewed. But I don't like the first Aliens movie. I love the second one. I think that's the best out of a lot of them. But, you know, it wasn't until later down the line that I started loving Star Trek because of First Contact. But I grew up with all that, and it's all I've known of Trek, including TOS, which everybody knows my feelings on, and you know why I don't like it. But my love of Trek was ignited with the TNG crew. I don't know why you're gasping at me, Dylan, darling. Why do you gasp? Send love, not gasps. But I can still appreciate the newer stuff as well. I mean, all right, fair enough. You know, I don't like Prodigy, but that's a personal preference. I'm sure it's absolutely brilliant, just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, and Dennis bringing up just like the compressing, that just goes what I shared earlier tonight, just the fact that we are just so stifled, limited to the number of episodes that they're putting. Because yeah, granted, I can understand from a production aspect the sheer cost it is to pay the actors, to pay the special effects and all this, so they gotta whittle shit down, but it stifles other things. It stifles the actors' creative liberties. It stifles storylines. It's just stifling overall, and it's annoying. You see, if we can
I think
just
that's another problem. That is a huge that is one of the biggest problems, is trying to get so much done in such a short time. And I mean, something like season 3 of Picard Very true, Dennis. Season 3 of Picard. That's just like a 10-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I love that. And I love how it was done. And I can feel a rewatch of season 3 of Picard.
On the flip side, too, sometimes when they have these ideas, I think for a because obviously now, like back in the day, each week was a new episode. Where now a lot of the shows are like one episode that's a long arc, and I'm finding the opposite problem can be true. They write this idea that they have that should be like 2 hours, like a movie, and instead they're trying to shove all this filler in it. One of the shows I'm having a little problem with that is Legacy of Monsters, which I'm enjoying. I just think there's like way too much filler. There's stuff there that could be, let's get it going here, and they drag. I don't mind the personal drama scenes; that's fine. But some of them, there's too much dialogue in there, and I know they're trying to fill up time to stretch out the show to make some suspense, and that can be an issue as well too in some shows where they're trying to put in a little too much filler, and you're trying to drag something out, and so it's harder, I think, now with these types of shows to find the right balance between. You've only got 10 episodes, so you want to get enough character in there and enough story and enough human drama, and at the same time, you don't want to feel like you're dragging it out for people either. And that's I think it's making it harder on people to watch.
Absolutely. When it comes to something like that, emphasize on what you're saying, Phil. That that's where a lot of these, I guess, these newer writers in Hollywood, they have, I guess, when they given the task from the producers or their upper bosses or the executives and stuff like that, they have but only so much that they can work with when they are writing for a certain TV show for streaming service and stuff and everything else, and they only can do but so much of stuff and everything else. And yes, there are things that may what they say, plot points and stuff and everything else. It happens in the writers' room and stuff and everything. The writers, when they brainstorming, when they try to bounce ideas off each other, when they're trying to do things and stuff and everything, things can get convoluted. It can get lost. It can get lost and stuff and everything else. And they are on a time crunch too. They're on a time crunch because the executives want to see results. They want results, and results sometimes can be messy. They can, put out something that, it may seem well on paper, but when it comes to, putting it in practical effect and stuff and everything else, it's like, I think we got to rewrite this, rewrite, this certain blah, 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 whatever and stuff and everything. But, in this day and age, streaming shows and stuff it's a hit and miss. It's gonna be a hit and miss and stuff and everything. Like y'all pointed out earlier about like Netflix shows, a lot of Netflix shows and stuff and everything. They are data driven analytics and stuff and everything else. For them, it's about like how can, like we said before, how can we get more people to subscribe and stay subscribed and stuff and everything else. And it's not about so much the viewership. They want positive, yes, they want positive feedback, from the viewers and stuff. But if there's negative feedback and everything else, that's gonna put a sour note in, wanting to say, do we want to greenlit, another season of this particular episode? But it's getting kind of late too.
I was looking at the time there. Yeah, we've been going at it for over 2 hours. Do we want to make this a 2-part conversation for next week, or do we want to go?
Let's pose this to the chat. Like, with anybody who's in chat, do you guys want us to continue talking about, the cancellation of Starfleet Academy and the future of Star Trek in general for the unforeseeable?
That's even a bigger question, because the big question still remains is they say it'll be canceled after season 2, but it's like, are they going to air the season 2? If so, when?
Yeah, Phil asked the
questions. Still questions abound. Yeah,
They probably
Dan says
will.
by
Just
next week, hopefully they might have. Hopefully they might have some more information.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dylan says yes. Dennis said, yeah, I'd say. Well, I'd say we could just kind of, because we are talking about the show. We're also talking about just the future of streaming when it comes to stuff like this. So this is a good, different little approach. I'm kind of intrigued to see if Paramount catches wind of this podcast, because I know,
Good hot
because
button topic.
like I said, I got that from Paramount because of the podcast. To say I got the Moopsie T-shirt because of the podcast.
Right.
So
Yeah. I mean,
and my
it'll be
wherever I-
fun. It'll be fun
wherever
to bring us back around to a second part of, like, Dennis said there could be more information between now and next week about, like, with stuff that's going on, that because we never know, because this information dropped 3 days ago, and people had time to digest. I've seen people just within like minutes and stuff like that, just the whole 24-hour. I'm like, oh man, I mean, I hear some very hateful negative. I'm like, I may have my issue, but not that to the hateful thing and stuff. Like,
No.
let's dial it back. Let's dial it back down,
well,
people.
and
Let's look at it from a real I look at it from a business perspective. Like, why? Like, what was it? I'm not looking at because I don't think they was driven by DEI or wokeness. Some would say a little bit it played a part into the restructuring of what's going on with CBS, Paramount, and the whole Stephen Colbert getting canceled, and this merger happening and stuff, and the Ellisons are really close to who in the White House and stuff. That's just that's all for another talk and everything
another
else.
2-hour conversation.
Yeah. But
But-
it comes down to, like, what Sean Ferrick now said, the business aspect. The poor reviews, not bringing in subscribers, and just it fell flat when it comes. It fell flat with, I'd say, majority of viewers and stuff like that. They watch it, but yet it still fell flat. That's what Trek
Yeah,
culture.
I think
If I want to watch Trek culture.
you were just saying something that triggered something I was going to say, but my brain just went on it. So
Sorry, Dave.
hey, like I said, blonde ADHD, among other things. It's like it's getting kind of late. I've been up for, I've been up for about 16, 17 hours today, which, I mean, that's a drop in the bucket for Katie, but
Katie, have you had your time change yet, or is that still? Because we had our.
That happens early hours Sunday.
Okay.
So this coming weekend we
Because
change our clock.
was after. Yeah, we did it. So you're 4 hours ahead then right now.
Yes.
from you.
Yeah, it's
yes, on the east. Yeah, you're 4 hours ahead from me.
6 hours from us here in
it's currently 3:20 a.m.
Right.
Me and Phil are on the same time because we're both east.
Yeah, I'm another 2 hours behind you, but I need to make a day of it. Tomorrow, say Thursday. Well, I was sharing earlier backstage. I got to go. Might see my doctor at some point tomorrow, but other than that, my Thursday is wide open, so I could try and make a lot of money to get ahead of the 8 ball for once for the week. But sorry. It's been a day.
I understand. I'm right there. I feel so horrible because whenever we do the show, I am just yawning all the way through it. But that isn't because of the time. I literally yawn all day, every day. But yeah, it's I understand. I really do. It's late for everyone, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This has been a good conversation, and we are going to keep on talking about it next week at the same time. But
can I say something super quick? Slightly off topic. Yeah. So I'm dropping one shift on my job, so I'm going to have Thursdays free as well. just
Woohoo.
because my back is giving me so much trouble. I'm probably might go on assistance. So I'm going to start, and I've been putting this off and putting it off. I'm going to be starting to ramp up my channel, and I'm going to start ramping up merch. And as you know, I'm making some Star Trek related merch. So I might pimp it out a little bit here, if that's okay, Dave. I might.
Go right ahead.
I'm taking that shirt, start the Enterprise, and doing a 60th anniversary shirt out of that.
Yes.
And of course, Katie's Gay Gorn is going to be on the merch shop as well. So yeah, so I'm going to try and.
I'd have to have one of those.
Yes, yeah, they're not going to be cheap. I'll tell you now. It's tough with the. Mind you, it'll probably be cheaper for you because the pound is like half one Canadian, so it might be more affordable for you. So. Yeah, but
I really don't care, Phil. I really don't care. I need that T-shirt. I mean, if it was a V-neck T-shirt, if it was a V-neck T-shirt, that'd be even better.
I'll set one. You can select the shirts. I'll select one for it, just for you. Yep. You can pick out the type of shirt, so I will pick out a V-neck for you.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Black T-shirt with the gay Gorn on. Oh my god.
I'll make sure that's set for you.
This is a fun discussion, and I know there's going to be some other channels talking about this here in the I say this coming weekend and stuff and everything else. But Trek Culture guys, if you want to Trek, it's about 37 minutes long. They do a really good in-depth talk about what we're talking about. And they had some really good points and stuff and everything else. So check that channel out and all and everything else. Go to subscribe to Phil and all and everything. And Phil's gonna be starting his thing up. I'm gonna have to. What time are you gonna be doing yours, Phil? Because I like to try to make, if it's not too late.
I gotta sort it out. I'll be doing. I'll let you know. I gotta sort out which night, and they're probably gonna be doing like a couple of 2 or 3 lives a week plus the video. I really need to ramp it up. I want to see if I can get things going because I need to build up a viewership again. So yeah, there'll be more than one.
I guess we hope anybody here we'll come and support Phil and do our best to and stay engaged with each other.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of support, saying I didn't do it at the top of the show, but you might have saw me snacking on my DOiiiCH edible cookie dough tonight. It's doing the What the Fudge brownie. It's one of several flavors that they do have available for purchase. They got birthday cake, they got basic bitch, and they got birthday cake. So a lot of great options. If you go to DOiiiCHFoods.com/engage, you can get 20% off your order. And I think it's the more you buy, the more you save too. So it's a good product. Don't have to worry about eggs or any raw stuff. It's low in sugar, plant-based proteins. It's
nice.
And I'm probably going to throw them into the oven here eventually. Just like 7 to 9 minutes at 325 degrees. Bam, you got actual cookies. I mean, it is tiny, but they normal price they're like $7.99 a pop. So 20% off. I mean, give it a shot. It's good stuff. But if there's anything else, as Zach was able to hop in for the chat tonight. Thanks for letting us simulcast this on your channel at Legacy Right tonight, man.
Zach, are you with us?
Well, you might be in the background.
He's muted.
Okay.
He might have just hop in so he can be backstage after the show. But yeah, saying. Just in closing, I think this is. I have said it before. I'll probably say it again. This is going to be the new thing. Life can be a bitch sometimes. It can be a struggle. You can feel lost. You can feel isolated. There is help out there. There is support. Reach out to a friend, a loved one. Call 988 or whatever your emergency, like non-emergency channel, like not 911. You don't want to call them for that but there is mental health options available for you. And I should write down the number. You can text the word talk to another number, just to like text message people, just to have someone to reach out to talk to, because
In Canada, if you are, you can call that. They'll just redirect you, but you can still call that if you really feel like at that point. But they'll just say, "Hold on, we're going to redirect you," and they'll just
Right on.
So,
But you're important. You are loved, and there are those that are out there that do care for you too. So be kind to yourselves. May Spock be with you. Hailing frequencies are closed for the week.
Toodles.
I know.
Live longer,